typical Yankeeville kid, honestly.
Two boys, one 15 and one 16 years old, have been arrested and charged with robbery and attempted murder. One was identified as a gang member.
Personally, I was mugged by a gang of about 6 youth. I was just walking down the street one day and they jumped me for jacket, money, cigarettes, whatever.
It doesn't take a thief long to steal a car.
I had my car broken into in the middle of the night, a bunch of stuff stolen out of it, but it looked like probably a bunch of youngsters just walking around at night.
It's a drug bust in Winnipeg's inner city. The street gang unit moves in to find scattered syringes and stolen guns.
We had the neighbor's house broken into, and every time it was kids. Just some fun thing to do. Got time on their hands. He doesn't belong there, then. Okay, thank you.
It was a very, it was an ugly feeling knowing that somebody had been into my property without my knowing or wanting them in there.
What are they doing? The neighbor reported that somebody's breaking into your place.
Anytime something like that happens, you really feel individually violated.
I'll tell you one thing, if somebody were to break into my house, I'll be damned if they'll break out.
It made me feel that I wanted to plant some jackets in a nice car or a ghetto blaster or something and sit there with a pellet gun or a shotgun with salt just to, teach them a lesson, because the way the system is working, they're not going to be punished for what they did.
It's okay, just keep your hands on.
I've been told by members of the police force that they get them down to the police station and the ink isn't dry before the kid is out the door.
To commit an adult crime and get a child's punishment, that doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
It's just going to get progressively worse in our society, and it's not going to get fixed,
Youth crime is rising in this city. It seems every day we hear about cars being stolen, people being mugged, or killed. Winnipeg police say the crime rate here is not as bad as other cities. The rate of gang violence in Toronto is higher than Winnipeg's, and in Montreal there's a bloody war going on between two biker gangs.
Still, crime involving youth is rising everywhere, and it's such a major concern that the Winnipeg police established a street gang unit to help deal with the escalating crime. Only 5 to 10% of Winnipeg's youth are involved in street gangs, but that 5 to 10% can have a devastating impact.
He was stopped by 4 young offenders or teenagers, right? And they stole his bike and beat him up with baseball bats.
This young kid came into the store that I was working at. He pulled out a knife, hunting knife with about a 6-inch blade on it, and he demanded money. And his 2 friends came in afterwards to back him up. One threw a bag over the counter, a garbage bag, and said, "Fill it up with cartons, hurry." So I filled it up with cartons. I pulled them off the ceiling. They fell all over my head and filled it up. I said, "Here you go." I said, "I'll get you anything you want." And they walked away in broad daylight.
What they took was my welfare money to get milk and that for my kids. I was on my way to Safeway, and I went and bought some tobacco, and I was on my way back, and 3 youths jumped from behind me and grabbed my wallet and my bag, threw my stuff on the ground, and took off.
He's in a coma, and he had to have 2 brain operations, and he's still in a coma to this day.
It hasn't changed my life. I didn't need any kind of help. I just needed, I drank for about a week straight, every day. Right when I was leaving the store that night, I said to him, I'm going to have a beer. That was it. And I went on a binge for a week straight. It just took my mind off it.
I'm very cautious now. I won't go out by myself. I take my daughter with me if I have to go to the store.
2 are still in the remand center, have been since it happened. The 18-year-old is he's in jail somewhere. Has been since it happened. One of the juveniles is free, walking around.
They probably went home and got really drunk and whatever else they do, and they just party and they talk about it. Then it's a big thing. It's like I did this, oh, I did this, I robbed this guy, I used a gun.
I would probably forgive them if they had an apology and gave me my stuff back.
I've got to go to the hospital and look at my brother and walk out of there every time I go to see him. And these kids are free. That's upsetting.
One of our employees got assaulted by youths last week. A bunch of kids came into the store. You just have to expect to get chased and hit.
I locked my doors, my windows. I'm nervous being alone. I had a hard time sleeping and I wasn't eating.
He's never hurt anybody his whole life.
It's just getting crazy. Like, they're getting shot now, and it's nuts.
It's not safe anymore. There's too many gangs and stuff now. It's not as safe as they think. It used to be when I was a little teenager, but not now.
If they did it just for kicks, then there isn't much hope for these kids, if that's just for kicks. But if they did it for money, maybe you can understand that.
But neither money or kicks was behind the shooting death of a 13-year-old boy in Winnipeg's North End.
People over there, he died because somebody killed him over there.
They said on the papers that he wasn't in a gang. He always carried his rag and all that. I seen it.
Why do you think that happened?
Because he's in a gang called IP.
And you think somebody from 9 Deuce shot him?
Yeah.
Do you know the guy who shot him?
He was my friend. We went to school with him.
Joe was a pretty cool guy to hang around with. Me and him got into a few fights. But next day we'd be friends again. It's just been, I don't know, it's just been cool hanging around with him, but now he's gone.
He's like a normal kid, but then after that, when he got up to grade 7, he started joining a gang called Deuce, 9 Deuce they were called, but then he dropped out. Then after that, they said he was something like a gang called IP. Then he joined it. Then after all of a sudden, they heard that he joined it. Then one of the Deuce guys, they shot him.
The tragic waste of a 13-year-old life was sad, but for many, the murder of Joseph Beeper Spence was considered an inner-city problem. Just another crime in the core area.
67-year-old Tina Wolasachuk remains in hospital in serious but stable condition with head injuries. The police investigation painted a horrible picture of what happened to her as she walked home Monday evening.
When a group of youth mugged and brutally assaulted 67-year-old Tina Lasachuk in a Winnipeg suburb, the issue of youth crime was really brought home. Mrs. Lasachuk could have been your own grandmother.
Despite the differences in their ages, backgrounds, and the locations in which they were victimized, the incidents involving Beeper and Tina are very closely related. They were both victims of youth crime. Whether it hits you directly or indirectly, it affects you.
The number of street gangs and their membership is quickly increasing. Their influence is spreading from these core area streets where most of the recruiting takes place.
Many could say that when you live in a certain neighborhood, the pressure to join a street gang is hard to ignore. For some, it's just a matter of time and pressure before they put on the gang colors.
Some of the kids tell me that they're continuously bugged. Even kids who are not in gangs are approached and bothered, and well, you know what it is, their clothes are taken.
We need as many guys as possible because it's a big park, they'll scatter.
The gang kept asking me, why don't you join, why don't you join?
As soon as we hit them, they're going to run like a bunch of rabbits, so we're going to have to be quick out of the cars.
Which sort of held me a rag. They said, come on, join.
It's a game, it's cops and robbers, it's stuff kids play all the time.
I just took that rag and I said, okay.
We get to play it as adults, but you know, it's not like somebody goes bang with a water pistol, then you get up again.
I got a phone call right away from one of the gang members.
Here we go. Okay, here we go.
What are we looking for?
We're gonna get 2 guys on Capel, east of Carleton.
They asked me to go to do a run for them. So I went and did a run for them. They said, where's your rag? And I said, I got it.
These people are involved in prostitution and drugs and assaults and robberies.
Well, you gotta get initiated to be in a gang, like to get the beat, see if you're solid or not.
You're in the circle now. So in order to stay in that circle, you gotta sell drugs to make money. How are you gonna support the guys inside? How are you gonna support your family? How are you gonna support your spouse, your children, if you have? You can't.
He's got a ball cap on backwards here, and he's standing with the Van Paul, and he was dealing earlier.
I kept getting phone calls from different gang members all the time, and they kept saying, well, you know, go do this, go do a drive-by for me. Go punch out this guy, go do this for me, go drop off some drugs.
It's a feeling you get before you do it.
You go from stuff that's very tedious and very boring to times when, you know, the anxiety levels go up through the roof because you don't know what's behind that closed door.
It's a weird feeling. Like you feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you're gonna get what you want.
It's an adrenaline rush. The heart starts pumping.
You cuff drugs off somebody, then all of a sudden you owe them, and then you gotta sell on different churfs, other gangs' churfs. And then all of a sudden now you need power. So then you need power, you gotta get weapons. And all of a sudden you're right into the crime scene.
The heart's pumping, everything's racing because you don't know what's behind that closed door. A lot of these people that belong in the gangs, they can almost say they have more balls than brains.
The gang is a family, yeah, is your circle. And some of the guys do care. I'm not gonna say that they don't. Some of them do care, but a lot of them are just in it for the power.
We knew there was a gun there.
But it's just phony. It's not real. It's completely fake, I think. And all you are is just a pawn.
Does he intend to use it? Like, we don't know. The guys didn't know what exactly his state of mind was in there. He could have been whacked out on coke or something.
I'm 29 years old now, and I got a lot of years behind the walls, behind bars, behind glass.
One of the vice guys in Vancouver, he was the first guy through the door and he took one in the head.
Beat the hell out of you, shoot you, do a drive-by on your house, beat up your old lady, scare your mom, beat your brother up, beat your sister up, you know.
The most important thing I think a lot of guys will tell you is that at the end of the shift you and your partner go home.
With a certain neighborhood comes a certain story. Poverty, dysfunctional families, alcohol and drugs. Many say the story of where these kids come from and why they end up in gangs is the same. Old story.
Most of their kids come from broken up homes. You know, the mother's either working and never home, or the dad's not around, stuff like that. Plus today with the divorce rates skyrocketing through the roof, I think that's got a lot to do with it too.
Get in the house. Get in there, Sam. Come on. I was raised in mostly different group homes and foster homes and stuff, and
I spent that first 5 years with my family, but that's when I was a baby and I couldn't remember about them. And I don't know, from there on, my family got started broken up.
I had to work for my own clothes. I even bought my own birthday cakes, and I had my own birthday parties. You know, and I kind of blamed it all on my parents, because they're always into the drinking and stuff like that.
Well, they don't have money supports at home. They turn to their peers. They find their own solutions, and their own solutions are often not the solutions society would like.
I grew up in my reserve on Fairford. When I was small, I used to smash windows and do bad things out there.
Do you know why you did that?
I was mad at my parents.
A lot of the kids, especially the northern kids, will become involved in crime to escape the reserve. They will purposely shoot a hole in the school wall to get shipped out of the reserve, to come to Winnipeg or Portage for 6 months. It's like a holiday. They will write letters to their younger brothers saying, go do something and get down here. The problems for the northern kids are bigger than what the justice system here can handle. There are problems up there that I don't think that just surpass what the justice system can offer them here. I mean, they come down here for a break, it seems, and they consider it kind of a holiday.
Some of them, unfortunately, see themselves as being better treated in a gang than they are at home. They run in the street, they're free, relatively free. They have the protection of the gang, they have the camaraderie with the gang members.
They always hit me when I was with my parents.
They're entitled to hurt other people because they've been hurt. You know, there's sort of the rationalization or the justification that they've been wronged, and therefore they can, you know, in turn, I don't think it's consciously, but they can in turn hurt other people.
If you find a VCR, there's some coke that's hidden in the back of one of these VCRs.
We've reverted to a material oriented type of society. Kids see things that others have, that they don't have and they want. They don't have any disposable income. They have no means of getting those kinds of things. So with the hardening of attitudes and a loss of concern about deterrence and what society expects, kids go out and take things. They take them, and they need weapons to assist them, they'll use them.
And there's 8 or 10 rounds in the clip.
I think it's more peer pressure's got to do with it than anything. Plus seeing it too on television, cars getting stolen every 10 minutes on every program you could watch.
A lot of the youth just don't have a lot of things to do, so they're opting for crime or hanging out and getting into trouble.
It's for cheap thrills. It's a lack of other options. They have a lack of skills, a lack of education, and it's simply for thrills and a sense of belonging, because they hook up with other kids who are into the same thing, and there they find bonding, and that's why they do it.
I think the problem is that most of those kids are unemployed and they don't see much of a future for them. What we need is jobs, better education, so they can stay off the street and look towards some kind of a future for themselves.
Others say the hard luck story is just an excuse, that these kids are simply taking advantage of a justice system that doesn't make the punishment fit the crime.
I think the biggest problem seems to me is that they know they can get away with it. There is no consequence for whatever they do, and they just continue to rob and rape and do whatever else is doing, knowing that nothing's going to happen to them.
The juvenile detention centers, juvie, the whole criminal system, most kids consider it a joke.
There's 10,000 lawyers coming out every day out of university, and they have to have a job.
There's a .22 handgun of some sort that he has in here.
They're committing violent crimes, and they're doing it for the most part because they know that even if they're caught, there's nothing that will be done to them. They know that they know exactly what ages they can, say, commit murder, and they'll only get time in a group home.
Right now, I can beat the crap out of you, and the police can't do anything but hold me in juvie overnight. There's no respect for the law.
Broken homes or easy laws? Whatever the reason, it leads to broken laws. More kids are joining street gangs and the crime rate is rising.
The government wants to toughen the laws in the hopes it will deter crime.
It's our position that the Young Offenders Act is simply not strong enough and that we need to begin by strengthening that law. And a couple of examples are, there is no way to bring a young person under 12 into the justice system. And it's our position that if a young person under 12 commits a heinous crime, is involved in serious criminal activity, there must be a mechanism to bring that young person into justice. Secondly, where young people are 16 and 17 years old, almost adults, and they commit heinous crimes like a murder or a serious assault which leaves someone forever at the mercy of that assault, that those young people should be presumed to be tried in adult court. We believe that the public has the right to protect itself, and where the publication of names of young offenders will assist the public in being safer, we believe that the Young Offenders Act should be amended to allow the publication of the names of young offenders.
But many say changes in the law won't change the law on the streets.
Make him feel very important. Everybody wants to feel important.
He'll think he's a star or something with his name in the paper. It's like fame. That's what they want, probably. To be noticed. That's what they're trying to do.
In that whole area of property crime, which is things like car thefts and break-and-enters where property is stolen, our government is looking at a program which will deal with parental responsibility and property crimes, so that where there is a conviction of the young person, that then there will be a requirement of restitution to the individual who has lost the property.
Negative reinforcement.
It wouldn't make me pay, be my dad. Most of them don't live with their parents.
We passed about a year ago amendments to our Highway Traffic Act, and it said that where anyone, not only a young person, any citizen is involved in auto theft or auto vandalism, they now stand to lose their license for a year, and if they're involved a second time, up to 5 years.
That kind of consequence is not going to matter and impact significantly, I believe, on whether or not they steal another car or ever get a driver's license. I don't know that that's a deterrent.
My license was taken away. The privilege was taken away till I was 18. And it didn't stop me from driving if I wanted to drive or anything like that. It's the last thing you're thinking about. You don't care.
He'll go after another one. He doesn't care because he lost it already.
Probably never had one anyway, but even if you take it away, it's not going to stop him from stealing. You got to work on the inner part of the young person that's doing the crime.
If the court sentences that young person to time in our institutions, that has to be meaningful time. That's not locking him up, throwing away the key. But that's removing that young person from the community, putting them inside our institutions, and working with them in the boot camp model that this government has set up, which we believe will turn their lives around.
The intent of that, I think, is worthwhile. The problem is, and this is where the justice system ends, the problem is what happens to those kids when they come out of there. No matter how much discipline they might have acquired for themselves while they were there, is it enough to fortify themselves so they can carry on through life and make decisions and stay out of trouble? I'm not sure that it is.
Gone are some of the privileges that were there before. Big screen TVs and pool tables.
The only difficulty with that is, while they may begin to buy into that while they're in custody, they're only there for short periods of time. When they get out, they generally go back to the same environment which caused the problem in the first place.
Society's best protected by reforming the kid. And prison should be the last resort, because prisons turn out criminals. I mean, that's where they come from. The kid will be in a prison where he'll turn out knowing more about crime and a wrong set of values from the experienced professional convicts.
When I was young and I was put in institutions, the youth center and whatever, Headingley when I was a young kid, it didn't do anything for me. It made me worse.
A lot of these young people have never experienced consequences to their behavior. They honestly don't know what's right and what's wrong. They will, in fact, experience consequences. They will know the rules, they'll be well known, and there will be consequences if they break the rules.
It would just make the kid madder, and he'd want revenge. So when he got out of the boot camp, you know, he'd be pissed off, he'd be really angry, and he'd go back to his old, you know, his old way, and he might probably end up killing somebody.
We have made the community service component a very important part of the boot camp model. And then we've set intervention programs, because we understand that some of these young people arrive with drug and alcohol dependency, they arrive with criminal thinking errors, they need anger management, and so we provide intervention programs. And then the other fourth principle is education. A lot of young people who have been involved in criminal activity are not involved in school or training programs.
I don't think throwing them in the youth center for 5 years is going to solve the question. It's more to do, you know, with get them out and get them doing something.
When I ask the kids if they would like to change their life, they all say yes. What I've discovered is they don't know how. What we have to do is offer them options, and by offering them options is to offer more programs for them. Their mindset is so set criminally, and it's become who they are. They are so used to justifying what they do and minimizing what they do that they don't even think in any other way.
A lot of them want to get out, but they don't know how. But they do. Inside their hearts, they want to get out.
We've got to substitute for what it is that these kids in these gangs are looking for now, what they think they're getting, and supplant that with something else.
A lot of the kids are simply resistant to change. They don't want to change because they are so used to who they are that to leave that comfort zone, they're going to dangerous areas. They're going into a place where they've never been, a place where they're vulnerable. The thinking errors that they have are so deeply entrenched in who they are, in what they are, that they don't know any other pattern of thinking. What we have to do is introduce new patterns of thinking. We've gone through the cycles of behavior mod, we've gone through the drugs, we've gone through everything. What we have to do is actually look at how they think, recognize how they think, and realize and appreciate that's who they are. We're breaking them into it slowly. We're breaking them into the justice system slowly, and they're becoming desensitized to it. So by the time they get to the youth center, by the time they get to Headingley, by the time they get to Stoney, there's no surprises, there's no shock. They're used to it, they expect it. And some of the kids actually take pride in it. What we have to do is when they first get involved in criminal behavior is hit them hard, and let them know that criminal behavior will not be accepted. It simply will not be accepted. We should let, in no uncertain terms, if they go out and they steal a car and their first sentence would be to do 20 hours of community service. That's not going to go too far because the POs are spread so thin that there's no looking at why the kid stole the car. When you're confronting them, what do they do? They go, "What are you blaming me for? How come you're getting mad at me?" And they're trying to make the onus, "No, I'm not, this isn't about me, this is about you." And so these guys are masters at manipulating the situation. What we have to do is get through all those barriers, and those walls are so thick. We have to get through those barriers, get at who they are, and teach that person options.
If you put something else into their brain, like teach them to respect themselves and actually to have a life and not to go to jail and stuff, like it's kind of really hard to get out. You have to put stuff into their brain. You have to make them think about other things.
You got to show them the right way, the right path. And there's all kinds of people in the community that are really positive. A lot of leaders, a lot of the young guys are making it big time. In the art industry, Look at Aaron Peters.
Keep on waiting till the end of time. Oh, still be together.
Look at Adam Beach.
You have forgotten who you are. I have not forgotten.
Those guys are leaders. Look how Adam grew up. You know, he didn't have a mother or father. You know, he grew up with his uncle. You know, he still made it because he had it in here.
When the kid comes to me and I'm confronting him for some negative behavior, okay, he'll say, well, you know, that's how I grew up. And I say to them, hey, that's how I grew up. It doesn't wash. You are responsible for what you've done. You cannot blame the judge. You can't blame the lawyer. You can't blame your PO. You can't blame your neighborhood. And you can't blame your parents because your brother's not a criminal. What, you know? And so when these barriers are down, now I got something to deal with. Now I can talk to the kid, and the kid's out and going, yeah. Okay, now let's talk about options. Let's talk about getting you into some kind of work ed program. Let's talk about getting you finishing your grade 9. Now we can go somewhere. The urban natives will come in, and they got a real chip on their shoulder. Nobody loves me. Everybody picks on me. I'm Indian. I'm not going to make it in life. Doesn't wash. I'm Aboriginal. I've been to university. I mean, there's opportunities, ample opportunities for all of these guys to do what they want to do if they choose to do it. They've chosen the easy route. They've chosen to assume the victim stance, saying, I'm so victimized and hard done by that I have no other option. Well, that's just bull, because there's a lot of guys from our neighborhood. The majority of the guys from our neighborhood didn't buy into that argument, and we're doing okay. They have to become responsible for themselves. When we agree with what they're saying, we are justifying what they think. And if we do that, then we're no farther ahead. It's not our responsibility. We have to recognize that it's their responsibility. They've made choices to do what they've done. They have to assume responsibility. There's a definite need for Aboriginal healing practices, for using a sharing circle, for using sweat lodges and purification, for utilizing the elders.
I think the native way is the best way, is the real way. Or if you're a Christian, you know, you could go into the Christian way. You got to start being real, and in order to recognize all the negative stuff that goes on in the gang circle. You either end up going to get killed, you're going to get killed, you're going to kill somebody, and you're going to end up doing a life bit in the pen.
Counseling, yes, there's a definite need for them. We need more probation officers. We need more counselors. The POs, I used to be in probation. The caseloads are very big. You're looking at a caseload of 85 kids. How can you effectively work with 85 kids in an 8-hour day?
I think there's a need for more culturally run foster homes in the city and in the country too.
Youth who are, you know, I think who do well are often, you know, very strongly connected with their families. They have a strong sense of family values. They've been very active in sports or in music or the arts or whatever, so that their life is balanced in terms of a lot of physical activity or intellectual challenges that are put before them. And then you get involved with positive peers who are involved in similar things.
You almost need a parent for a substitute parent for every kid in the youth center. Somebody who will take them to ball games and help them find a job and help them with the homework and, you know, get them on the right track. And who's got the time for that? Where can you get the resources?
Respect. They need respect for themselves. Violence is not going to give them respect for themselves or other people. They can't teach these kids respect by locking them up.
Ex-gang members say that even though it was hard to turn their back on the gang life, it didn't compare to how they had once turned their back on their families. And now they are ready to come full circle.
And I hurt myself a lot too by doing that. Because now I gotta be away from my son. I gotta be away from my girlfriend. And I gotta watch my son grow up in pictures.
I was getting sick of it, the way it was like on the streets and seeing my Aboriginal youth fighting each other.
Spent my last 12 years behind bars, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to the family. It wasn't fair to the partners that I had. And it wasn't fair to anybody. And I thought, well, hey, I gotta make a change here.
I just was really tired of being locked up, having my life just one big mess, and not being in control of anything in my life.
I stopped because I'm going to sweat lodges and that. I really regretted everything I did. When I look at those people, you know, a lot of them are going to be scarred for life. Pulling a knife on them, scaring the hell out of them, and they're always going to remember that. If I give up, then I just give up on everything. If I give up right now on chasing my dreams, then I'm giving up on my son, I'm giving up on my family, I'm giving up on my circle. And that's something I don't want to do. Because when I go, I want to be able to go clean, with a clean mind and a clean heart. I know what I want to do now too. So I'm writing music, I'm painting, and you know, I want to be an actor. I want to be able to buy my son stuff. I want to be able to buy my girlfriend a house. I want to be able to make it out there.
When I was in youth gangs at the time of my past, I had a lot of cousins copy me. Like, since I'm dancing now, all my little cousins are starting to be traditional too and want to dance just like what I'm doing right now.
And I got a lot of family that are behind me. And that's who I'm going to stay with, always, until it's my turn to leave this world.
And on that journey, these youth and those that help them want to lead more people off the streets and onto a more positive path.
But in all cases, the first step begins with the individual.
How would you feel if I ripped your bike off? Is it something you would pay for?
Grow up, you know, find something better to do with your time, make a positive contribution to the community rather than, you know, harassing people.
Put himself in the other people's shoes. Some cases they don't realize what havoc they create in other people's lives.
You have to think about the future rather than just the present.
Try and straighten out your lives now, because when you get older, it's going to be too late.
Sure, it'll get you some money now, but in the long run, you can't do that all your life. It's either you're going to end up in jail for a lengthy sentence, or you're going to end up sitting there on welfare or something like that because you can't get a job because no one wants to hire a convict.
Most of it is respect, and to receive that from someone who looks like you and is like you, having the same problems, you guys be friends like that.
There's a lot of our members that haven't been with the family, you know, their parents are never there for them. That's why they joined us. There's some members there that we put a roof over their head and, you know, gave them a place to sleep and that. That's why we respect them, they respect us.
These young offenders, they have the same mind as we do. You have to understand what they're going through. You have to see some of them live really bad. Some of them live really good. Like, I know some people who, their families are well off, and they are getting slashed for being in this bad situation. And you can't say it's poverty, you can't say it's living conditions, or it's really hard. It's just understanding where they're coming from, what they see.
Just want to, you know, do things on my own, especially be with the friends, more with the friends. I get a rush out of it, and I want to keep on doing it. A lot of people want to prove that to themselves and to everybody else that they can stand up for something, stand up for themselves. You know, they're not scared of nobody.
I've been a hoop dancer for many years. I get more of a good feeling to sit down and watch the dancers dance to the type of music that I sing. As close as powwow people are, because they respect one another and they teach each other how to respect others and respect the things that you are learnt and taught. So with gangs, they're taught to abuse. So there's a big difference between powwow and gangs. Have more places for the youth to go, more things for them to do, instead of just leaving them on the street and abusing them and making them abuse others. Find places for them, drop-in centers and that, things that they can do, keep them busy, places to learn things. Because you don't learn nothing on the street except the wrong stuff.
You need people behind you to say, well, you're doing a good job, stuff like that. You know, that's all you need to hear, and it really brings you up. If you don't hear it, then what's the use? Might as well not even bother changing or doing anything.
If they had powwow, they would, to me, they would learn a little more about respect and about the things that they're doing in that gang. Because in a gang, you just learn how to hurt people and hurt things in life. And that's not what we were brought on this earth to do.
That would have to be up to my decision if I want to come back here or if I want to continue what I'm doing.
To choose the path that you're choosing, to be in conflict with the law, to go out and hurt people and create victims and destroy lives is not helping you, it's not helping anybody. There are options out there. You don't have to do what you're doing. You have to really want to change. If you really want to change, there are people out there who will help you. But the first step is you. You've got to choose to change.
Find a circle. Find a positive circle. Or if you're non-native, find another circle, like a Christian circle or a program that deals with positive things, like, you know, football games, concerts, you know, powwows, whatever, schooling. You know, education is really important. Your mother, your father, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunties, your cousins, your brothers and sisters. Some of them are involved in the negative circle too, but a lot of them have a big heart, and a lot of them are clean. And a lot of them found the right path. And those are the people you gotta hang with.
What are you guys doing here?
Believe in other people, but believe in yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You could lie to other people. You could lie to the cops. You could lie to your mom. You could lie to your dad. But you can't lie to yourself.
I mean, the worst thing you can do is sit back and become a victim and blame everybody else for all your problems, because you're not doing anybody else a favor.
Sure, you're gonna have to watch your back all the time. But a lot of your friends are gonna see the change, and they're gonna see you making it. And then they're gonna follow you. And then they're gonna understand.
I've been sent home to wash my money from stores. It doesn't wash. I mean, you go home and you wash your money. I mean, sure, there's going to be racist people. Get over it.
We're trying to do some crab apples.
You're gonna remember everything when you're happy.
Trying to pick these ones.
We'll ask at the door if you could fix them.
You're gonna remember it, because you're sober. You're clean. You're not, you're not mind-boggled with drugs. You're not drunk. You're not thinking about, well, I gotta go beat up this guy or this guy's gonna beat me up.
We were about to.
You're about to.
You don't have to be 29 years old to make it. You can make it when you're 16, 15, 18 years old.
Okay, guys. I guess we're done here.
Start today. Don't put it off till tomorrow, because tomorrow might not be. You may die in your sleep. You may get killed today.
You might get shot like Beeper did. And you might be badly injured or stabbed.
Half of my life has been behind walls. And you're always gonna end up in there if you don't get out now. And you're gonna feel the pain. And you're gonna have people that hurt all the time. your family, and you're gonna suffer. And if you don't get out now, you're gonna die in there, man. You're gonna die in jail, or you're gonna spend the rest of your life, and it's gonna eat you, it's gonna poison you.
Echo Yankee 03 on scene.
Don't know how old I was the first time I saw her blood spill in front of me. I wonder what it was that pissed him off. Did she commit a murder? All good, yeah, but no good for each other.